Three, we're live. Mr.
Well,
Wade?
welcome, my people, once again to another edition of Belizean Affairs. We are at 130th edition, and we welcome again our viewers and listeners, both at home and abroad, to tune in to us tonight, because tonight, we have another nice program to present to the Belizean people. And sitting with me virtually is Mr. Leonard Brackett. He is the one of the hosts, and we expect Mr. Gregory Brackett. He must be in the back scene there, queuing up something, but we expect him also to join us tonight. And as always, we start with our program. As always, we start with a reading, sorry, a prayer and a reading. And on that note, I call on Mr. Leonard Brackett to lead us in a prayer and then followed by our reading. Go
Thank,
ahead there,
uh,
Leonard.
thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, uh, for granting me the opportunity to participate in the program tonight. I hope we have a good program for listeners. I'll just bow my head first and do the prayer. Divine loving Father, as we come before thy presence again, we pray that thou mayest continue to be merciful unto us and our family members, friends, and loved ones, as well as our country of Belize, its people, and its leadership. And this country of the United States, its people and its leadership, and the rest of humanity. Thou knowest our heart, our desires, even our most secret thoughts. Thou knowest our trials and tribulations, loving Father. Please continue to grant us the help, the courage, the strength, the perseverance, and all the necessary virtues that will enable us to do good for ourselves and for others. And please help that our program tonight may provide some input to the furtherance and well-being of our people and country of Belize. We ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Go ahead with the reading there, Leonard, please.
Yes, sir. Just going to do something. Proverbs. I'll read Proverbs chapter 15, starting at verse 1. Reads as follows: A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. The tongue of the wise useth knowledge, all right, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. A fool despiseth his father instruction, but he that regardeth reproof is prudent. And that's the end of tonight's reading, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Leonard.
You're welcome, sir.
I, you know, we'll start our program by saying that, you know, we our program is about people and nation. Um, we are the voice for the voiceless because we have a lot of Belizeans here home who, for some reason afraid to speak out on issues. They prefer to sit back and say, well, yeah, okay, because this is what they always do to me. And if I say anything, it make no difference. So I just continue take my lick and not say nothing. Right? Well, we are not like that. We on this show here, we speak out. We are not afraid to speak on issues. So, I am proud to say that myself, Leonard, and Gregory, we have been calling out the good and the bad in our governing system, right? Because there are lots of bad, a couple of good, and we call it out too, but most is all bad, ills, pain inflicted on the poor and less fortunate in this country. And as for the two-party system, they have this country real messed up because, like right now, the PUP is in power and the UDP, then they bail because the PUP, they give them what they're supposed to be getting, and vice versa. Same thing when the UDP in power. So, it's a shame to see how this country is, right? Um, I think a government should be, whether a UDP government or a PUP government, should be a government for all people. Because not only one party pay taxes, not only PUP pay taxes, not only UDP pay taxes, the whole country, whatever pay or no pay at all, we all pay taxes. So I think that once they are in power, we all should be treated equally. But it's not like that in this country. For decades now, that's the way they have us. But, you know, I have always, have a little message and a little sobering reminder for those who have ears, let them hear. For those who have eyes, let them see. And for those who just want to turn a blind, uh, you know, blind towards whatever is happening or deaf towards whatever is happening, well, kudos to them. But like I say, we here, we don't. So I'll start by saying, my people, my nation, again, my message to you, for those who have ears, let them hear. For those who have eyes, let them see. We have been calling out on our governing system of the UDP and the PUP when they are in power. Why? Because people suffers. People suffers when we have a corrupt system. And that is what we have. Every time one of the two-party system get elected, you see the bastardization of the people's trust. We see the corruption, right? Blatantly corruption. And sadly, none of them is in jail. None have been held accountable for the things they do to us and have done to us. They are still out there, right? Coming back for more, right? Coming back to do us more, right? And think about it, who is to blame, right? So, leaders that do not respect the rule of law, past and present government not respect the rule of law in this country. Do not. Because why? They manipulate and control the judiciary, right? And the courts, as they put people in place to push through their agenda to help them with their criminal activities that are self-centered. We see them there. They only think about themselves once they get elected. Once you go vote for them, they only think about themselves. After that, they don't think about you anymore, right? They think that they don't pay for you to give them that mandate, right? They don't pay you. They leave $50, $100, and $20. They leave barbecue, they leave food, they leave whatever they give you for that day. That is your payment for the next 5 years until you get another $50 in the next 5 years and do what you do for them again. Give them that mandate to do unto you again one more time. It's a repetitious cycle, right? We see the corruption blatantly, right? Abuse of their power, their office, right? The power that you, the people, give them, right? Leaders who think they are gods, kings, queens, because that's how they feel when you don't elect them, right? Because you see how they behave, their attitude, right? They walk with their head up high. Before, when they come to you, they head down like little puppy. They beg you for their vote, but after they get that, then a king and queens, right? Gods, right? Not talk about the CEOs who get appointed, heads of department, right? Has no respect for the public. You see it play out regularly, right? No respect, right? The public who pays them. This PUP government boasts about a super majority. Comes from his mouth, the prime minister's mouth, leader of the PUP, right? People give with the mandate, man, so we could do and say and whatever we want to say and do whatever we want to do unto you. Because the people don't give you that mandate, right? You hear him say that word regularly now, right? Because they got the super majority too, right? Super majority. And a new, people give them a new mandate. But for what? Mandate for what? To give you the bukut. That's what that is all about, right? And who are you to say anything about it? Who are you to even mention anything about their action? See what they do to you, right? And sadly, we do not have an opposition. Sadly, their leader is no more interested in the affairs of the country and the poor people. He is interested in the affairs of his friend, P. Diddy. We call P. Diddy. That's what he is talking about right now in this country, right? That's what for him issue right now, right? P. Diddy, right? And his past, right? And all they are doing fighting for power within themselves, right? And they fight and bicker and trying to discredit each other instead of they unite to beat the PUP in the next election, right? That's not his priority, right? But I could say I am proud to be able to have a voice. I'm not afraid to speak out on the ills because there are many. And it's a repetitious cycle. PUP, UDP do the same thing to us. the other not yesterday, the leader of this country, the Prime Minister John Senior, was on the talk show again, a morning show, right? He was talking about crime and all the good things that the PUP are doing, and all the the labor when out there in this country and what he have to do, and a whole bunch of venom, whole venom. I call it venom that comes out of his mouth, because nothing he says is true. He says crime, he has crime under control, right? And the only crime we have in this country, the only crime that we have in this country is gang, contribute to gang. All the murders contribute to gangs, and drugs. Say, and he got it under control because then they pass, then pass so much SOEs, right? And state of emergency, and that's how he for him mind, for him. I don't know what kind of space he got up there. I don't know what kind of space he got up. All the space here that yes, we the bring down state of emergency. We enforce the SOEs, and we do good, right? And to curb crime, right? I don't know what's wrong with that guy, right? Talk about poverty. Man, I don't know where these politicians and leaders, heads of department are living. And I don't know where the prime minister they live, when he said, I think that poverty under control. And not to mention the healthcare system, right? Which is, man, every week you hear some kind of gross neglect at our healthcare facilities. But yet, talk about that, right? He talk about the good things that his government is doing for the healthcare in this country, right? And delivering good healthcare system to the people. I don't know, man. That is a fail, right? And on life support, right? Our healthcare system is on life support. He talk about inflation, right? Man, well, he have to say that, because a man not go to the grocery store, and he not go buy gas, right? And he not go to the supermarket, right? So he have to say that. He talk about joblessness, right? And how he have that under control and what he will do, right? Man. And not to mention the last time he says, the unemployment rate was what, 2.8% or something like that. I don't know where that man they live, right? And not talk about our security force, right? Wow, this is the worst I ever seen. Our security forces, the behavior and the attitude, right? And sad to say that, underperforming, right? But yet he says that, he have all these things under control and they are doing a very good job on it, right? For me, they are on that system. The security forces system is on life support, right? I'm not talk about our justice system, justice for the poor. We don't have that, right? A justice system that is run by politicians and influenced by money, right? Influenced by money, run by our politicians, which the judiciary should be separate, right? But no, in this country it's not. The government of the day, whether the PUP government or UDP government, controls the judiciary and tell them when to move and when not to move, who go to jail and who do not go to jail, who get charged and who does not get charged. I'm not talking about our DPP that we have in this country, right? And man, and the conviction rate, right? And something happened the other day that we don't even know the findings of Mr. The with the situation with Mr. Perez, right? But all of a sudden he's freed. He have done nothing wrong. All of a sudden, no charges. That's another situation which is so not nice. And for other countries and the world to see, what goes on in this country, this government should be ashamed, right? Should be ashamed, but they are not, right? We don't have justice for the poor, right? The judiciary is run by politicians and money, right? A government that do not respect the courts. This government for sure not respect the courts, the ruling of the courts, right? Look what they did to the stevedores when the court had already fined Mr. Ashcroft guilty and he was supposed to pay the stevedores $4.8 million. You see what this Belizean administration did to the stevedores? Public knowledge, right? The ruling of the court, right? Gross violators of our constitution, right? Gross violators. And a prime minister that constantly lies. Lie every time he comes to the media and to the nation. It's a bunch of lies and has no respect. And that's all the questions that they ask him and say what he want to say. The question that is put to him, he no answer the question. He do not. Mouthful of venom, right? No respect for people, right? No respect a nation. We are seeing more and more of an authoritarian state, right? It's getting there because they're pushing for a republic. Republic of Belize. That's what this government is pushing for, right? And more you see the actions of the police. We have a police state also, based on what they say and what they do. We have seen what they did to the stevedores. We have seen the action with the cane farmers, public knowledge, and not to mention the situation down south with the Mayan land claim, right? We see how they are handling that. Because that's not done yet, right? They push one little bit butter pan and bread the other day because of the election. But the Mayans, they will come back because it's unfinished business. So they will come back, right? Let's not forget what they want to do with our constitution, right? Don't forget that. And also, let's not forget the ICJ. A lot of we think put that on back burner, alive and well, right? And the constant harassment of the Guatemalan army on the Sarstoon. Constant harassment, right? What is the government doing about that? Let's not forget the billions that they have indebted this country already in, right? The borrowing, constant borrowing. And who will pay that back? Not the UDP nor the PUP. Also, let's not forget the sweetheart deal that this prime minister did with Portico. He never gave the poor people one little sweetheart deal like that. Man, you can't pay your land taxes, or you back with whatever payment you need to make to the government. I'm gonna struck that off, right, and give you one little ease. No, you give Portico that sweetheart deal. Public knowledge. You could go back and do the check on that, right? The sweetheart deal that he got, right? While our people suffers with a bad economy and a high price of fuel, the highest in the world. Every 2 weeks, and he says that he don't have to inform the public when he raises fuel. See, he don't have to do that. You find out at the pump. That's what he said, right? That man have no shame, right? And the high price of food item at the grocery store, and yet they say that they are tackling price gouging, which they are not, right? and they don't give a damn, right? This government don't give a damn. So my people, listen to your prime minister. You know what he said lately, right? Press the replay button and go back to Channel 7 morning show with him yesterday and see the nice things he says, right? All the good things on crime, he has it under control. Jobs, the economy, everything is good, right? And nobody is suffering, right? All the venom that comes out of his mouth. So I ask, yes, things is good, yes, but for who? That's what I asked him. Yes, everything is good in this country, but for who? That's my question to you, Mr. Prime Minister, through this medium. And I say, always, I call a spade, right? And if for all the fanatics who do not like what we say on this show or what I say, it's your God given right. So that will not stop me, but it's your right to not like what we say. On that note, I want to turn it to Gregory because we were waiting for him and, you know, introduce yourself there, Gregory. Sorry for you to have to listen to me rant a little bit, but that's what I wanted to take off my chest. A little
Thank
bit.
you,
I have a
Mr.
lot more, but
Chairman.
that's a little bit that I want to take off my chest. Go ahead, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Good night to the Belizean people at home and abroad. And thank you for tuning in for this 130th episode of Belizean Affair. And as the chairman is rightfully saying, to back him up, not because we are not trying to educate and tell the truth, but because it is not his word, but let's hear it from the person's mouth.
I think that overall we have had major success when it comes to crime. Crime has gone down generally, but you can't have young people stopping them from wanting to shoot one another for whatever reason. The police can't be in every street corner, and a lot of this is gang related, supposedly. And so the best thing we can do at that time is just declare an SOE, so that just so could grab these young kids or young men and hold them in jail for a 30-day period, so everybody calm down and realize, hold on guys, this is not the way to go, and then we to calm down. And as much as we want to work with them, as much as we want them to go and find a job, somebody don't want to work. And for them it's easier to be able to a life of crime or to be able to sell drugs or whatever, and we want to get them out of it. And I believe, and this is what sometimes the religious, the churches don't look at, that if we can legalize marijuana, we could reduce a lot of this issue over drugs because they fight over turf. But if it is legalized, then you remove that from the criminals and you make it legal on a strict controls, obviously, and then government can collect high taxes because it's supposed to be highly taxed. So that in itself could be able to help. But that is one aspect of it. But secondly, crimes of passion. That is what's going on right now. And it's a mental health issue. That, and again, how do you address that matter with mental health? How do you know that, okay, I want trip because my wife or my girlfriend left me or whatever, These are some of the things that are happening. But when you look at it overall, just in Australia, what was it, last week or not too long ago, a man went into a mall and started stabbing up people. In the United States, God forbid, almost every week you hear about shooting in schools.
Every day.
Thank God and knock on wood, we are not there. So
Yeah.
we need to count our blessings.
Wow. Listen to that guy there, Listen to that guy. He says that the best. Listen to the word, that's the best they can do. The best. And he's comparing the US and Australia and all these on mental health. Right? But let's tackle that first situation there, Greg, with the crime situation, what he said. Let me hear from you, Greg. Then I'll go to you, Leonard.
Uh-huh.
Let me let you go to my cousin first.
Go
I
ahead,
will
go
address
go
you
go
first.
go there, Leonard. Yeah, that man says that's the best. That's the best they can do.
Uh,
Huh.
Mr. Chairman, my cousin Greg, welcome, Greg. Thank you for being a part of our show tonight, too. To the general public, Belizeans at home and abroad, and whoever else might be inclined to give us a little listen. That gentleman sitting down there just now occupies a venerable position, highly respected or respectable position in our society as the Prime Minister of our country, Belize. But I will have to take the guy to task. I have a belt, but I don't think the belt I have on right now could stretch as far as from where I did to Belize to get him on a couple of whap across the ears corner and maybe some across the back and across the body and whap on my foot, make it run or leave faster or whatever. I'm intimating that the man needs to be disciplined because he's acting out a character. He and blame the young man and say, well, the young man they don't want to work. And that's why then they commit crimes. And then they turn around and they say, okay, well, some of the crimes are crimes of passion. You can't read people's mind. And then you blame, you say, okay, well, then kind of crime they happen in America and Australia and presumably all over the world. But does this gentleman not realize that his father was arrested by America and charged or accused of drug dealings? He forget who his father is or was, and he forget that story that he suffered, because I know he had to suffer a lot when his father was dealt with like that. I would have suffered on behalf of my own father if that was to have been the scenario my father got caught up in. But he's pretending like, well, this thing that's going on in Belize, that ain't young man in fault for taking the quick money because they don't want to have black people in another place wrong tongue, especially the officers them. They don't want no black person there in the front office to meet no clients. They don't want no black person to do no construction work because they could get the Guatemalans there to come across the border and work for cheaper than where they could pay the black people there. And all manner of evil these people are perpetrating against the black people in a free country, and still turn around and try to blame them and then suppress them now with military force. The military force that we don't have enough right now to be on our own borderline to help us take care of the problems we have with the Guatemalans then, flowing into the country in vast numbers, and then he legitimize them and they give them all kind of high status that give the regular Belizean. Let me read the Constitution, because I love to go to my Constitution when I talk about these scoundrels and these vampires and sons of drug dealers who are blaming other people for having to survive the best way they can.
Do a little 5 minutes on that there, Leonard.
I'll take 5 minutes, but not necessarily on this particular thing. I'll take the 5 minutes to expand on what I'm trying to say. Right. But I just want to read this specifically out of the Constitution so people could hear what we come from. We know they try malign nobody and they talk bad about nobody, but just to contextualize what is it that's coming out of their mouth. The Belize Constitution Cap 4, Section 3, Part 3, Section 29, Subsection 3 reads as follows: No person shall be entitled under the provisions of this part of the Constitution to be a citizen of Belize or be granted citizenship of Belize if such a person show any allegiance to or is a citizen of any country which does not recognize the independence, sovereignty, or territorial integrity of Belize. Does anybody know what the Constitution is talking about there? Not Honduras, not El Salvador, not Mexico. That part of the Constitution was specifically written to avoid Guatemala having its citizens being granted citizens of Belize because of the overall Guatemalan claim that we're still at the Hague contesting right now, today date. Okay? But yet this knucklehead idiot can pretend that he don't know that the Constitution says what I just read, And probably he doesn't. He hasn't probably read it himself. But even if he hasn't read it himself, he's been around Belizean politics for 30-odd years, my brothers and sisters. So therefore, the man must have known about one person named Mr. Price, who was accused of trying to sell out Belize lock, stock, and barrel to the Guatemalans them, and has conspired to alienate the British away from us, and so that we can be left alone as a defenseless papa for the Guatemalans to have their way with us, which is what generated the 13 proposals, the 17 proposals, the heads of agreement, the side agreement that they made that we don't have a boundary line between us and Guatemala in 1991, the 2000 Ranfal proposals, and all the other subsequent craziness that we've been dealing with to the point of now being at the Hague. And this idiot can pretend that he don't understand that free constitution prohibit him or any other government. It says that the legislator shall make no laws inconsistent with the Constitution. Otherwise, those laws would be ruled and should be ruled as ultra-virus in the Constitution and be null and void. But this jackass occupying this high-level position in our society can sit back there and pretend that, well, he's giving the public a lecture on what is coming out of his mind and how he wants to run the country because we dare to have him as our prime minister. He is not above the laws of the country. I know he wants to change the constitution, but as of right now, the constitution that prevails, he has to abide by it. He swore allegiance to it and fidelity to it. So why is he going to make a mockery of us Belizeans? He should follow the Constitution. And as I told him, I'm going to hang that Constitution around their neck as long as we keep having that Constitution in place. And I'll fight them to the last drop of blood if need be for them to not take away our current Constitution and replace it with something that's more pliable or compliant with their wishes to make our country into an independent Republic of Belize. Because if we think things are bad right now, it will get a hell of a lot worse if that scenario becomes a reality.
Thank you.
But Mr. Chairman, this gentleman can talk about black Creoles, according to him, who are the gangbangers them, and who are the people who are out there committing the crimes, and who are doing the shooting, that the police officers them have to half we BDF them for half of the borderline to come and support them to enforce a bogus, ultra-virus, unconstitutional SOE. In other words, for we military, it's only good enough to suppress we people. And I'm talking about specifically the black people, because I know that they don't have the SOE in the whole country. And the people them the era where they go mess with and where they suppress and the people them will sleep on TV, where they beat up and the police they pull gun and put in their face and do all kind of manner of stuff to people and they take decent law abiding citizens of our society and carry them up the Hattiville go spend time under the bogus SOE, which is a contravention and an abuse of the powers that they're trying to claim to themselves. Who is going to give that young man back his job now, or the time that they wasted for him? Who is going to remedy the situation as regards to that young lady where the police officer gone and choke and slam down the ground and kicking outside? Where's Chester when his officers are committing these crimes against the decent law-abiding members of our society who don't deserve to be treated like that under a bogus SOE? And then the Prime Minister will sit there and talk craziness about the black people up on South Side where the SOE is, that they have to do that because that's the only way they could control it. That is not what an SOE is set up for. The law does not allow them constitutionally to create no SOE for no 30 days to victimize people. The law has already authorized to them the powers of arrest for people who commit crime in the country. So why don't they get on the ball and go and do their job, which they are being paid for, by the way, and they themselves need to go to jail for receiving money from the treasury under false pretext because they're receiving money for a job that they're not doing or taking care of adequately. And they're relating and responding to the general public with criminal contempt. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Leonard. Well said, my brother. I mean, on truth and real, that is what
jackass, man.
The Belizean people are facing. Greg, let me hear from you about, on that tape that you played just a while ago.
Chairman, thank you, and well said, my cousin. As I said before, government is not playing its role. The role of external and internal policy. There's three things that comes under that. The first one is to protect its territory. The second one is to get with private sector and create jobs. And the third is to have law and order to bring about peace in the community. Government is lacking those three important things. Now, when I listen to what the PM said, I can outright tell you that he is in violation of the Human Rights Convention under the Geneva Treaty.
I told them some of them going to end up at the Hague, but they don't believe.
Human rights concern over breach of the peace. Breach of the peace has the potential to conflict with the European Convention on Human Rights and Fundamental Freedom 1950, including Article 5, 10, and 11, which protects the right to liberty and security, freedom of expression and assembly and association, respectively. Due to the loosely defined
hold on, Leonard. Hold on, let me finish it.
Due to the loosely defined nature of breach of the peace and the wide powers afforded to those who intend to stop or prevent a breach, any use of the powers are closely examined by the court to ensure there has been no undue interference with human rights. What is Article 5 of the European Convention on Human Rights 1950? Everyone who is deprived of his liberty by arrest or detention shall be entitled to take proceedings by which the lawfulness of his detention shall be decided speedily by a court, and his release order if the detention is not lawful.
Amen
Greg,
to that.
What is Article 10
sorry.
of the European Convention on Human Rights 1950? Article 10(1). Everyone has the right to freedom of expression. This right shall include freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart information and ideas without interference by public authority and regardless of frontiers. What is Article 11 of the European Convention on Human Rights? Everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and to freedom of association with others, including the right to form and to join trade unions for the protection of his interests. Go ahead, my
Amen.
cousin.
Amen to that. Go ahead, Leonard. Go ahead. You have the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much. What you was reading just now, Greg, is exactly what I was saying all the while along, that these guys that we have in Belizean are subject to. Somehow or another, their level of ignorance of these laws does not exculpate them or does not justify them being above the law. But they think that they are.
Exactly.
And one way or another, somehow, they need to be brought to account and be proven by these mechanisms that some of them will end up at the Hague. Remember, about 4 or 5 times on our shows, I've said that to them.
Yes.
Especially during this SOE situation.
Yeah.
This is about the 3rd time with the reader thing that Gregory read there just now.
Shoot.
But these guys are not taking caution and warning. They don't believe that there are consequences and that those consequences could be had by them. But some of the very thing that Greg just read, I was going to read it out of we Constitution too, to show you how bogus these guys are. It's not that because they don't know the international conventions that we Belize have signed under as an independent country under the UN.
We could come back to that part there,
I will.
Leonard.
But I just wanted to stipulate that
but
what you saying is very much on target, and these guys better get a hold of themselves before the right authority get a hold of them, because they will end up at the Hague.
You're so right on that, Leonard. You've been saying this. You've been saying it over and over. But I just hope that at some point it registered, no? But the way these guys are going, like they just don't.
I have to pursue the process.
They don't care. They don't care because why, Leonard? Nobody had hold them accountable, right? Nobody, right? So they just have a free reign and doing what they want to do, and like I said before, they are the gross violators of our constitution, right? Gross violators. Go ahead, Greg. Cue up that other on the healthcare situation if you can, no? Because man, that healthcare situation is so dear to so dear to me, and
Mr. Chairman, could we spend another 5 minutes on this particular subject before we leave it?
So I didn't want to, but go ahead.
You not me. I need Greg to read back the first
the tape.
No, Greg. What? The part that you just read there just now, the European Human Rights Convention, Section 5. Could you read the first couple of statements out of Section 5 there for me? We are wrap it up right now, sir.
What is Article 5 of the European Convention on Human Rights? Everyone who is deprived of his liberty by arrest or detention shall be
exactly what they're doing.
Proceedings by which the lawlessness of his detention shall be decided speedily by a court, and his release order if the detention is not lawful. I have been stressing this. I have mentioned why the state of emergency is unconstitutional, and I have specified because it differs from when we had a state of emergency with COVID-19 and the pestilence. There was rules as part of the emergency powers that one should not and could not have violated or they would have been charged. For
Exactly.
example, not wearing a face mask out after curfew time or during curfew time. Here with this state of emergency, there are no such implementation. That is what makes it unconstitutional to just go and pick up these young men that have committed
Yeah.
no crime
No
and
crime.
just hold them for 30 days.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
if I read section 14(1) of our constitution to this inspector who asked the young lady if she know what a state of emergency was, let me say this to him. Section 14(1) of our Constitution specifies a person shall not be subjected to arbitrary or unlawful interference with his privacy, family, home, or correspondence, nor to unlawful attack. So
Yeah.
when my cousin said he needed to be charged, he was right in saying that
Yeah.
because it fell under common assault and illegal entering. In other words,
Plus,
the
she's in
police
her
who went there,
private space. She's in her private
right,
space, right?
when they
And
went
they didn't
there,
have a start. They didn't have a warrant to go in
Didn't
there
have a search
to
warrant.
go and bother
exactly,
bother them.
exactly, and the young lady, smart enough, not
Yeah.
outrightly know the law, said it to him.
Yeah.
No one here is listed in the state of emergency.
Exactly.
No one here falls under it. And he still
But
proceeded to abuse her. I turn it back to
exactly.
you, Mr. Chairman.
But guys, listen to what the prime minister of this country says. That's the best they can do, and he totally ignored the lives, the seriousness of this situation, this crime situation, and yet he'll say this is the best they can sit around a table with him and his police minister and the commissioner of police and all the other minds, and that's the best thing that they could come up with again is another state of emergency. Fail to realize all the lives taken, all the children left without a father, without a mother, all the grievance, family, right? All the chaos. And this is the best this man says that they can come up with, man.
I'll read.
Hi.
I'll take the privilege, Mr. Chairman, to read section 13(1), which reads as follows: except with his own consent, that is the consent of the person, a person shall not be hindered in the enjoyment of his freedom of assembly and association, that
Exactly.
is to say, his rights to assemble freely and associate with other persons, and in particular, to form or belong to a trade union or other associations for the protection of his interests, or form or belong to a particular party or other
But
political association or gangs. The
but
cops
do
are
they
a bunch of
care? They
the
do
all
not
cops
care.
are a bunch of gangs,
Let,
and some
let
of them
me
are giving bad name to the other cops them that are
let me
decent with
let
our
me
men.
just say this plainly, right? so the people at home and
Well said
abroad
there,
can
Leonard.
hear it.
Thank you. And when you get
Okay?
a chance, you clear up that healthcare situation there,
Mr.
Gregory,
Chairman,
please.
I want to specify this, right? That being a member of a gang is not
Not a crime.
unconstitutional.
Is that a crime?
It's right there. Section
Is
13.
not
Being
a
a member
crime.
of an association or a gang, that's not a
Mr.
crime.
Chairman, if we have 20 in our family, we have the right to call them the Brackett gang or the
Exactly.
Wade gang.
Exactly. Bracket
It
gang,
is
weight
not
gang.
a
You
crime.
know. So in their view now, that's not supposed to happen. We are committing a crime, right?
But so that means that the large people are an association, right? That's a
So if
gang.
so if Leonard said, to be in a Leonard gang, you have to put one X here or one mark here or so, right? That it's a crime for them. To them, we are committing a crime, right? Which
They
which
are the
is
one
which is
committing a crime, violating the
which is
Constitution, and writing bogus law that are unconstitutional.
like I said, guys,
And then
like
send the police
nobody,
out there with a
guys,
false pretext go
What
brutalize people.
what
Leonard,
really is happening
nobody
here,
hold these people
Mr. Chairman?
accountable by nobody,
What
right?
really is happening here, Mr. Chairman, is, and I will be specific, the people have voted in the new government with a super majority.
Well, he says it's over and
The
over.
government is failing at bringing about peace and order in the community.
Failing.
The government, who has a super majority to legislate the right laws to bring peace in the community, is
Exactly.
using that power to
Arbitrary and capricious.
legislate informal laws that they are using against the citizens.
This part,
For example, the
uh,
common assault law that they are using to silence the people.
Section 14.1. A person shall not be subjected to arbitrary or unlawful interference with his privacy or his family
Exactly.
or his home
Exactly.
or his correspondence,
Exactly.
nor to any unlawful attacks. How Chestanova calling he attack dog the other day, where assault the young lady and kick her in his side after he don't choke her and chew her down. He said, you don't know
So
about it.
sad, man. So sad to watch.
That means
So
that if you don't
sad
know
to
about things
watch.
like that, that means you know you do your job.
But
Because the Constitution tells you right here in section 14 that
yes, but see if you
no
could
unlawful attacks. That was an unlawful attack that he
that's
did
an
against her young
unlawful, yeah.
lady, just because he wear the police uniform. He had no right or authority vested in him to assault that young
That's
lady
why I
the way
said
he
in my
did.
opening they think that they're kings and gods and queens and kings,
It
right? So
comes,
they could do it. Go ahead,
Mr.
Greg, can you
Chairman,
cue up that
it comes back to what I have said all along. Policy and statutory instrument does not do what?
Trump the
Trump.
Constitution.
the Constitution?
There we go.
But that's how these guys want to roll. And that's why they keep losing all the cases that they keep losing. Greg, Mr. We had me ask you for that these special thing over me.
Pension is solely on the hands of the public officers. And it upsets me. We have discussed it over and over in cabinet. We even brought in the chief, the person in charge of the Treasury Department, the financial secretary, Mr. Satina from public on the public service to come in to explain to us. The problem has happened is that when you are going to be retired, the Treasury Department sends you a note and says, Renata, 1 year from now, you are going to retire. Start to get your papers in order. Many instances, because they transfer you from office to office, sometimes your file don't come with you, or the file is not properly filled out.
Yeah.
And so then it gets stuck there. And so then you retire, and then you made it education, but the health never do something, and they got a
So you don't
health,
have
and
every.
nobody prep.
Oy.
And so now you retire, you need your money, but they can't pay you because they try to fix your file, and it just gets stuck in the bureaucracy. And it really upsets me because, like, I said, how could you do that to your own man?
Yeah.
At the least try and fix I use some strong words, but I don't want to.
No,
But it
no, I understand where
really
you come
upset me.
from.
So it's not that the government no one pays because the bureaucracy not a help right now.
Yeah.
And we try, you know how many times I personally have to be called and say, please, and so what we do, what is Treasury do? And whenever I call, I say, all right, make we give them more advance. So we give them more advance. Some poor people, they look for losing house because they can't get the money.
Right.
And
So
it
they
is
expect to
wrong.
get their- yeah.
It is wrong. One of the things that we've said, I spoke with e-governance and say, let's see how we could computerize this, digitize it, so that it'd be easy to be able to keep track of everybody's files. So it is a bureaucracy. It's not that the government no one pay.
Guys, you listen to that guy there?
Number one, bamboozler.
You know, I'll tell you something, right? Whenever that guy speaks,
man.
you know, it turns my stomach. Only me though, only Rudy Wade's stomach it turned, right? Because if that man could go to the house, he's the leader of this country. He is the leader of finances, in control of our finances. If he could go to the house and with a stroke of the pen give Ashcroft first $76 million of the taxpayers' money without you don't have to worry about the file, you don't have to worry about this, you don't have to worry that right after that. So he did talk crap. You have the BDF where only in a BDF. Only so this one here, I just said to you, Mr. Brisenio, this one file, the BDF file where you not pay, never go from this department to that department. No, they're in BDF for the whole 20-something years, Mr. Man. Right? They retire. And up to this date, Mr. Man, and you sympathize, you know. Mr. Man, you say you sympathize, you know. You know, man, you know, you have to be ashamed of yourself, you know, at the talk to you, right? Right? And you say you're sorry for the man where you lose the house and it this and it that. Man, you know, hypocrite.
Big time.
Hypocrite. My comrades, they're out there, want their money. Retire from some from the police department, some from the BDF, did not go to no other department or other government institution. Only the police force they work in, only the BDF department they work in. So why can't these people get their money? Right? Man, you're a hypocrite. If you could give Ashcroft so much money and write off so much vehicle with a stroke of a pen, vehicle that costs $90,000 of Belize taxpayers' money, and next day they give a new one, you're a hypocrite, right? You're a hypocrite. Pay my comrades. Pay them. They need their money, right? So that little word that you say you're sorry for them, man, I ask you to please make it come from the heart, right? Because you know it come from the heart, so I ask you, please send it back down the throat and make it come from the heart. I don't know how you sleep at night.
Mr. Chairman?
Right?
Mr. Chairman?
And in news media there, because I'm out pissed off, right? Because I can always say, and we always say, every time this man come to the media with a venom mouthful of lie, and nobody hold him to test. Nobody ask him, why didn't that news anchor, because they're all one, asking, you know, Mr. Man, what happened to the BDF? For their file level, you don't know these people, they ask for their money, then go to the news and go, you don't know it? Why didn't you ask and advocate for these people? And let this man roll freely with the venom front of you, right? Shame on you. Well, I the advocate through the Belizean Affairs show number 130. Pay my comrades the same way you give Ashcroft $76 million of the taxpayers' money in a one day, one sitting. And now you And not to mention what you did with the $1.70, how you have pain a belly for raise the minimum wage to $5, $5 measly dollars. When before the raise it, when you took it, the cost of living got up 300% before you give these people the measly $5 an hour. You don't got no shame, man. No shame at all. Go ahead, Leonard. Sorry about that. I just,
No. Yeah,
I got
just
to
want
get this
give back
off
on
my
what you
chest,
said.
right?
I want to add a little bit more to what you just said. He gave Ashcroft $76 million in a one sitting at the house on stroke of a pen. How much better off could he have done by dividing that $76 million in half, right? And use half to pay all the retired people that know they get their money. Mr. Ashcroft no me and drop dead because he not get a whole amount of the money.
You know, may lose the house,
Like what he say,
right?
Okay, so pay the other people and use half of the money to pay the people and bills and where they owe them, and use the other half to give Ashcroft. Because he turn right wrong after that and give Mr. Ashcroft another 90 million Belize. And after that, he get another 25 to start the deal for the 5 years, 25 more million every year, twice as much as we have cost me to get off of the port.
You got to call these things out, man. Thank
Where
you.
his priorities are.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg.
$16.66 they're giving us. Not enough.
And the grocery bag project.
The grocery bag. We not get paid in a grocery bag. We not supposed to get paid in a grocery bag. We want with money. We not want no grocery bag. We want with money now.
Protesters who stood in front of the National Assembly building this morning echoed the same cry. These are retired public officers who are beneficiaries of a $9 million trust fund established as compensation following a wage freeze between 1995 and 1997. The trust controls shares in Belize Telecommunications Limited and other secure investments. In 2023, Prime Minister Belizean committed to assisting these beneficiaries in dissolving the trust and dispersing the funds at their demand. But a year has passed with no results, a cause to protest for these retired public workers.
I want to impress upon the Prime Minister that the government, the settler, they have authority to be able to reconstitute the Board of Trustees, leading towards, or have an interim board, so that it will lead towards the solution of the trust.
They don't want to deal with it.
You want to comment on that, Greg? Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, let's keep it real. You could up the salary of 3 ministers, $24,000 apiece, would have been a start to try to pay these people. Period. Likewise, the surveillance pay for the teachers. Likewise, the BDS, who they want to cut their wages as we speak. Likewise, the retired civil servants. And you know, it is easy for the government to go and dip in the people's purse when they need. The police station, the roofing fell down. Are they going to go back to Social Security? Because we have a Minister of Infrastructure. How come they are not checking out all these police stations and precincts that is there for so many years? Mr. Chairman, I believe the Prime Minister is in denial, and he does not want to do what he is supposed to do. That is my take on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Leonard. Thank you. Thank you, Greg. We got to call these people out, man, as we're talking about real people who are suffering, right? And they're not begging for something that they rightfully deserve. Don't beg Belizean nothing. or brag the PUP party, nothing, or the you know. This money is rightfully deserved. They had worked for that already. Right? Not on behold at what you did with Ashcroft. Just gave him something freely. No, these people are already blood, sweat, and tears, man.
The
And
money,
you're talking a whole bunch of crap. I'm not doing the right thing. Like you rightfully says, Greg, this man is in denial. In denial. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
I'll take it up one step higher, Mr. Chairman, and I would say the man is not only just in denial. Very likely the man is actually contemptuous because he's saying that he knows that the people are losing their house. He's not only just contemptuous, it's criminal contempt. He's aiding and abetting the contempt coming to pass by denying these people their just rewards and their just salaries for the money what they have to live off of, what they need to live off of. Well, like Greg said, he's raising some of the ministers and salary. He lend money to this one, lend money to that one. He give money to this one, give money to the other one. You know, then go to Social Security and they take out the Social Security money and lend it to them family members or friends to create companies, to build buildings, and then turn around and rent back those buildings to the government. So then they fleece the government coffers right, left, and center for their own personal agendas.
Not to mention, Leonard and Greg, not to mention hiring of cronies, giving them contracts. As we speak, one of the senators stood up in the House and says he's against that and he's upset. And anyway, we are just pointing out and we are showing the people.
Section
right?
14, Mr. Chairman, Section 14(1) of the Constitution says a person shall not be subjected to arbitrary or unlawful interference with his privacy or his family or his home or his correspondence, nor to unlawful attacks. And that's what that officer did to that young lady, which is why that young lady should have had the right to sue them or sue him personally, as a matter of fact. Sue the government and sue him personally. Okay?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Greg.
I want to really, really and truly ask the Belizean people at home and abroad if they see what this government is doing. This government has passed a law in the Family and Children Act 173, making it a law that grandparents, this same grandparents that can't get their money, must take care of their grandchildren. Now imagine.
Do you understand now then why I say criminal contempt?
Imagine.
You understand the context of my statement for upping it and saying criminal contempt? They're acting like a bunch of criminals themselves.
How
and using
will
the power
they
vested in
mind
them
their
illegally.
grandchildren when they cannot even mind themselves because the government is not taking care of all accounts?
But the Prime Minister don't have no talent to realize that, Greg, unfortunately. At least that's where he hide behind. He said Belizeans don't have no talent. And I guess he was referring to himself. That he can't realize and understand what you're saying.
On that last tape there, guys, do you know on that money that they are asking for, that is owed to them, a lot have left us, right? My brother is one of those who had left us, who had money there, right? People had migrated and move on to the US for a better life, right? And yet, right? And yet, they are having problems. And yet they are
Mr. Chairman,
right. Just tell me, right?
I will be the first.
Out of all that crowd, not many of them left that lump sum of money that was originally designated for. Those people are no longer, most of them are no longer, only a handful of them. So it's again a win-win for Social Security again and the government and the day.
But
It's a win-win.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I
Greg.
said it before, Mr. Chairman. We are living in a designer what? System designed to keep the poor in poverty and put them down lower.
Exactly.
Both governments, past and present, has found a way to keep the people poor, so they have to come for hands out. They are not playing the role, as I said, the three things: protecting its territory, get with private sector and create jobs. If you check the record between past and present, where are the long-term jobs? None. The present is talking about the BPOs. And thirdly, law and order to bring peace in the community. The three things they are not doing, because I will say this: Social Security is a designer system for you to put in and not get out. Okay? The pension scheme that they are planning to make for civil servants will be the
Same thing.
identical thing.
Same thing.
It will be no
It's all a
different.
scam. If you put your money in
That
your
is what
bank,
they're
at least you will
doing.
go and withdraw it. But you need to put it in a finance scheme and then turn
Thank you.
around and take the money and invest it
Greg,
with other private
you want to take your
individuals.
5 minutes, Greg?
Mr. Chairman, can I read one last
Take
part
your
here
5
before we move?
minutes. Yeah, take your 5 minutes there, because we're about, no time.
Oh,
Take your
yeah,
5
yeah,
minutes.
we're running
Yeah,
out of time.
take your 5 minutes.
Okay. Section
So,
12
go
of our
ahead.
Constitution again. 12, subsection 1. Except with his own consent, a person shall not be hindered in the enjoyment of his freedom of expression, including freedom to hold opinions without interference by the government or any authority, freedom to receive ideas and information without interference from the government or any authority, freedom to communicate ideas and information without interference, whether the communication be to the public generally or to any person or class of persons, and freedom from interference with his correspondence. So when they make their laws and they try to play the fool and pretend that they could muzzle us and stop us from communicating and advocating and demanding accountability of them, which is why they're going to make the law in the first place, to try and suppress us,
Exactly.
they're violating the Constitution again.
Yeah.
But they think that those substantive laws that they make or exercise that they assent to is going to trump the Constitution, and that can't work. So under Section 20, judicial review, they will always keep losing those cases, but they can't get in an tough head that they need to find another way to go about doing what they try to do, because all the experiences in the past hasn't served them any good, and they keep repeating the same cycle. But anyhow, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You got 2 more minutes, Leonard.
I'll reserve that for maybe comments on somebody else's point.
For your closing, because it's
yes, sir. That's it.
All right.
I'm happy with that so far.
All right, good man, good. Greg, 5 minutes, Greg, for
Mr.
your.
Chairman,
Go ahead with
for
Greg.
my closing, I want to bring back a denial that these people have.
Muy buenas noches, señores. Como ustedes pueden ver, estamos en el hospital de Orange Rock. La señora se está muriendo de dolor, de corazón. La acaban de operar y no la quieren atender. ¿Qué ustedes piensan de esto? Todos los pacientes que estamos aquí estamos pidiendo que ayuden a la señora y simplemente dicen que no la van a atender porque tienen otros pacientes el cual no están haciendo nada. Señores, ¿qué ustedes piensan de esto? La señora se está muriendo de dolor, de corazón. Según la acaban de ella salir de una cirugía y creo que tuvo.
Back down memory lane, Mr. Chairman. It never ceased to amaze people. Because you know what the director said, I believe, who is in charge, that he was assisted to before, and she was waiting to be attended to, and they did not know that the tape was shown after she was already assisted to. So in other words, what they are trying to say, that when the lady saw that tape, that could end up as false news. Now imagine, that is my cousin, Mr. Chairman. You can
You want
go
to
ahead.
elaborate on that, Leonard?
Yes, sir.
You want to say something?
As far as I could perceive, if all the other people in the waiting room was saying they were willing to give up their turn so this lady could get her emergency caretaking, and these other fools gonna pretend like, well, it's no big deal to them because as far as they're concerned, she could have just as well dropped dead and they don't have to deal with she or any other issues after she's done dead, because they could always put out some kind of press release indicating that it was something different than what anybody else. And in other words, we wouldn't have seen this tape and know about that incident if that tape wasn't produced and didn't make the internet, because they only respond when they get the tape. Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead. I thought you were about to say something.
Go ahead.
Basically, this happened right in the Prime Minister's backyard, right? Because that he won division.
Exactly.
When he boast about him, he provides so much services to Tom, Dick, and Harry, who are not Belizeans, but he can't provide the services to the Belizeans. You see all these jackals enroll? I want to start to invent one new set of terms that are applicable and more aptly describe their conduct. Because to classify them as jackals only indicate about and vultures and things, that's more of the monetary and the economic aspects. These guys then cold, they don't have no heart. Like the young man the other day in the police pickup truck. They are having the ride around for hours on end, and then they turn around and say that because the people in the complain that the people in the produce false news. Then they show with the evidence of where they go,
Yes.
And they are classified that as false news because it make them look bad.
Yeah. Exactly.
Scoundrels.
Exactly.
Like I say, from Chester, in fact, from Minister, police all the way down to Chester and his subordinates and all, and they all need to be arrested. You know what? I don't wish this for my country. But that's why you have revolutions in some countrymen. And other people take over the powers of governance and dispatch the ones that are duly elected. Because the ones that are duly elected then play crazy and they make the power go to their head and pretend that because they're elected and we have a docile democracy, that means that they could just run roughshod and do any manner of evil to the people, and there's nothing the people have no recourse or ability to do anything to remedy the situation. Just take a licking for the next 5 years until when I come around and make you elect me again. That's their agenda. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lovely program.
Thank you very much, guys. Greg, I'm glad that you produced that tape again, right? That's another tape, right? I thank you so much.
And these guys do better.
I say this, right? We have been beating this healthcare situation that is on life support for a couple of years now, right? We have been beating it. And guys, we are not lying, man. It hasn't gotten any better. It hasn't, right? All that got better is the venom that comes out of these leaders' mouth, right? And the lies, right? Look what they did. String people along with that CT scan, and at the end of the day, when the country did that CT scan, it is of no use to some illness, some other problems that CT scan cannot take care of. That CT scan is
it's more expensive to operate, Mr. Chairman.
Specific.
It's more expensive to operate than the cheaper one.
We have heard it from
the doctor,
doctor himself, right? And that's the same CT scan that went to the house 4 times, got money 4 times, right? So we are saying this because to show you how these people play with people's lives, It happened up here in the West too. Similar situation that you played just now, Greg, right? And they have been turned back, right? Turned back to go. Some go across the border to seek medical attention, right? Because they have been turned back locally.
If they're lucky, they have the money.
Some, yeah, they go back and try to get that money together, right? Somebody just put up their house today, Mr. Prime Minister and Mr. Minister of Health, to pay for some much needed medical attention for their loved ones. Put up their house today in this municipality, right? So it's a shame for the government of the day. It's a shame, and I hope that the outside world, especially the diaspora, paying attention, because when they go there with their hands out, I hope you know where to tell them, right? And go there begging for some kind of sympathy or.
Before you close off, Mr. Chairman, right on that same point, the man, then they squeeze the diaspora right now and encourage them. Some of the ministers, then they get trucks of land. And then they tie into the diaspora and they try to encourage the diaspora to buy lots from there. Then they cut up, then they subdivide. A lot of ministers, they get lands and they subdivide. And then they try to work this process now to the Belize community to get Belizeans from abroad, to buy the lots them from there, and to send money. Remember the Prime Minister said the other day how he could put together one specialist with contractors where reliable contractors there. Well, the man and they do it big time now.
Exactly.
Massive tracts of lands they get subdivided for house and lot, like that. Little small villages or small cities.
Yeah.
Private, where they own individually. And so and then they're enough to advertise these things on the internet.
We got 4 more minutes, but
that's how barefaced these people are.
But Leonard and Gregory and Belizeans at home and abroad, these people tell on themselves, Greg always say it, we always say it here, because this man talk about it, Talk about it when you know, but nobody listen to this man. Nobody, right? Man. Only we 3, right? And with the call out, so like you rightfully says, Leonard, they will do all kind of shenanigans to try to discredit us or try to get rid of us.
One word, Mr.
But they will have a very hard time doing that.
Evil.
Right?
Anybody that behave like these people are behaving are serving evil.
So for my closing, I'd like to thank our viewers and listeners, both at home and abroad. And it's always a pleasure to sit in your company, with you, Greg, and with you, Leonard, because, us 3, we bring truth to the nation.
Anything for your country, Mr. Will.
And we are a voice for our people. We know the big up no politician. We know the big up no UDP. We know the big up no UDP, because at the end of the day, they don't stop me from drinking coffee in the morning, right? They can't pressure me, nor Leonard, nor Greg for nothing, right? So that's why we could tell them about the wickedness, the evilness, their corruptedness, right? Their nepotism, right? And the way they're taking this country down, right? And as for the opposition, man, where are you? Where are you, Mr. Paid opposition, No, like just on guys, these people are getting paid, right? To do what? This man is business. He's right in the affairs of P. Daddy right now and trying to rehash whatever, right? And it's all public and on the that's what the news item here right now with the head of the opposition, and they're busy fighting each other. Shame on you know, but sadly, this is the way we have this country and have with people, right? If they're not the red next 5 years, or the blue, and if they're not the blue, they're the red, right? And you know,
But Mr.
so
Chairman,
sad.
we're
So-
beyond the time now, right? But
1 minute left. So
yeah, just as a matter of dealing with reality, we're dealing with human beings, and whether they're red or blue or green or yellow, all we want is just decent, patriotic-minded
good
people
governance.
that have a heart and a decent mind.
Good governance.
Why
And-
can't we find that among all of them?
And like I say, you know, thanks to you know you, Greg, for queuing up. Thanks, Leonard, for you know speaking truth to power. And you know, it's always a pleasure, and you know, looking forward for a Friday. And I call on the you know our viewers and listeners to tune in to us again, because we bring truth and we're not afraid to speak out, right? And we are always remember this, and I live with it. We are the voice for the people and nation. On that note, I say good night. Thank you, guys.
Good night, people.
Thank you.